that one.
What are we doing here, Moxon?
Only 3rd century BC, this particular phoenix, Mr. Proudy assures me.
3rd or early 2nd?
Quite so. And with the lifespan of this mythical bird variously given as 500 to 12,000 odd years, you would hardly think a century or two either way would matter.
Look, have you brought us here to discuss the legend of the phoenix, or what? No reflection in your speciality, Mr. Proudy, but our own is rather demanding at the moment.
Well, I did understand from Mr. Moxon that my speciality happened to be relevant to yours at the moment.
As a matter of fact, it is. A phoenix is on its way by air from Athens to Heathrow at this very moment.
Under her own power.
The phoenix is male, Mr. Jordan, exclusively.
Poor thing.
Look, come to the point.
The point is that the Greek professor who is bringing it here is alleged to be doing so illegally. Interpol have received a request for his extradition.
Then why the hell didn't Interpol get on to us direct?
Because the man is altogether too distinguished to be passed straight to special branch without referring.
Do you?
Distinguished enough to be arrested by a detective chief inspector, at the least.
Is it valuable?
Ian?
Oh, yes, £50,000?
I see. And this is what it looks like.
Mr. Kazakis? Professor Kazakis? And if his wife's not with him, you've wasted a journey.
What's a professor doing pinching a phoenix? I'd have thought he was above such things. Could be absent-minded, I suppose.
Thing's worth about £50,000. They're hardly likely to be absent-minded about a thing like that.
What's so special about this bird?
Ah, you see, it's 300 years older than it ought to be, apparently. Now, no Greek writer mentioned a phoenix before the 5th century BC, but this one is the 8th century BC, which has got all the experts worked up about it. Would you like to hear about the life cycle of a phoenix?
Not particularly, sir.
Oh, go on now. Don't let me waste my homework.
Sergeant Smith, passenger from Nicosia, please call the general information desk. Sergeant Smith. Passengers to Nice, this is the final call for petitioner Airlines Flight 106. Passengers on this flight should go immediately through departure doors.
I don't understand. Are you protecting us or arresting us? Or what are you doing, Mr.
Jordan, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you, sir.
Look here, if we give a chance to the chief inspector to tell us what this is all about instead of jumping down his throat, we shall know the answers all the sooner. Κάτσε κάτω.
Thank you, Professor. Now, briefly, do you have with you a bronze sculpture of a phoenix, the property of the Stephanopoulos Museum of Antiquity in Athens?
As you see, Mr. Jordan.
Well, I'm afraid, sir, I have a warrant for your arrest under the British extradition laws.
A what?
I'm afraid I have to take both you and it into custody while a request by the Greek government for your extradition is considered by the courts.
Extradition? On what grounds?
I must warn you, sir, anything you say will be taken down and maybe used...
Mr. Jordan, Constable, I know this is a formal occasion, but it isn't a public one. In the absence of witnesses, could we take the forms as read and you tell us what this is all about in ordinary English? Άσε με να μιλήσω στον άνθρωπο, ρε παιδί μου. Άσε με, σε παρακαλώ. In return, my wife will promise not to bite your head off. Κάτσε κάτω.
Well, it seems, sir, that you have been accused of taking that phoenix out of Greece illegally with the object of selling it.
Is that all?
Yes, that's what it boils down to. Now, sir, I am supposed to read this out to you.
Which, of course, you have. Yes, every word.
It's absurd.
And easily disposed of. There's obviously been some confusion somewhere. Yes, the phoenix is the property of the Stephanopoulos Museum, the curator of which is Mr. Kostas Petridis.
Whose authorization you would need, sir?
I have. This is a letter from Mr. Petridis authorizing me to take the phoenix to England and offer it for sale at Sotheby's.
May I ask you why?
In order to raise funds for the continuation and expansion of the excavations where the phoenix was found. Does my piece of paper outrank yours, Mr. Jordan? I know it is not for you to say.
No, I'm afraid not, sir.
I don't understand. Mr. Petridis' letters are...
Will we hope convince the English court? Mr. Jordan is not allowed to be convinced or to do anything about it if he is.
Yes, but what then?
Only to arrest me. while advising me that I am not obliged to say anything, and that anything I do say will be taken down in writing and may be used in evidence, huh? Not for nothing do I polish my English with popular fiction. Where will it be, Mr. Jordan? The Tower of London?
No, sir. No. Brixton. But of course, if you were to ask me unofficially if you could first phone a solicitor to meet you there, then I'd have great difficulty in refusing you.
Now, what a coincidence. I was just about to mention
Just a minute. You joke, you make politeness like it is a university lunch.
Why not, my love? If there's been a mistake, it is not Mr. Jordan's fault.
A mistake?
Look here, Savaracalo.
Oh, well, mistake or not, you've been arrested. Bravo.
No, Mrs. Kazakis, only your husband. I've got no orders to detain you.
Not me?
No.
Yeah, but...
Well, we thought you might need some help, Mrs. Kazakos, in the circumstances. You know, your hotel and so on.
Thank you very much. I don't think it will be necessary.
Constable, my wife is a stranger to London. She was hoping to do some shopping, you know, buy a few clothes. As you're obviously an expert on the subject, could you possibly...
Certainly, Professor. Yes, I'll do my best.
Thank you very much.
Would you mind putting that away for me, please, sir?
Yes, poor Phoenix. Treat him with care, Mr. Jordan. Not that it could come to much harm. Bronze is not all that easily damaged. However, when the whole mistake is cleared up, I hope we shall make a great deal of money with him.
Yeah, thank you.
Remarkable. He would have got a good price at Sotheby's, I imagine.
He might still. We have an extradition request, not an extradition order so far.
A day or two, that's all. Oh, that letter. I shouldn't set too much store by that letter if I were you.
Oh, why not?
Well, anyone staging a theft of this importance would come armed with something of the sort.
Are you suggesting it's a forgery?
In fact, or in effect?
Well, I don't know. It smells authentic to me. Be a funny kind of theft which disposed of the loot openly in Sotheby's sale room. Wouldn't it?
Kazakis didn't seem like a villain to me, sir.
You talk like policemen, both of you.
We are policemen.
It would help our relations with Greece at this particular moment if the whole matter went through smoothly.
You will get on to Petrides about that letter.
You just watch me. Sit down. Listen, this Kazakis impressed you.
Oh, very much.
I mean, he really impressed you.
Very much so. You should have seen him charming the governor of Brixton.
I would like to have seen that. What about his wife?
Breathing fire. I think we ought to consider Constable Simpson as fully booked until this is over.
All right, yes. Because if there is something nasty, something political, she might well get a pointer from Madame.
Or, more important, she might keep Madame out of our hair.
Oh, no. No, you wouldn't like it, no.
No, he won't mind.
Oh, Jane, don't you think I'm a bit, how do you say that, anesthetized,
I know. Unfeeling, callous.
That's it. Don't you think?
Here, try this one on. From what I've seen of your husband, he'll be very cross with you and me. You stay in your hotel room and mope.
Mope? Ooh, makes me look fat now.
Means, be sad and do nothing, you know?
Oh, if that's what it means, I never moped my life, and I don't intend to.
He'll demand to see all your shopping the minute he comes out.
You'll love to see the bill. Jane, you think he might go free?
I'm afraid I don't know. It's all way above my level. I'm just not up in Greek politics.
Politics? Why say politics?
Well, it's just one of those things, you know. Look, what about one of these over here? I'd never dare, but you could.
You think?
Yes.
Yes. What makes you think that my husband might just go free?
Oh, nothing in particular, only he doesn't look like a phoenix stealer to me.
Of course he's not.
Mind you, don't quote me on it. I'm only a copper.
I like to copper, Jane.
Get me thrown out. So I thought, well, if he isn't a crook, it could be politics. Or that man Petrides having a grudge.
It's a puzzle, is it? Oh, look. Think I dare?
Well, that's how it looks from here, Baines. Both Jordan and my woman constable say the whole thing smells of a political frame-up.
Oh, now, look here, sir. You know Interpol rules. We are not allowed to deal with any requests on political, racial, or religious offenses.
I know the rules, but look, this is Greece we're dealing with, and the present regime has its own idea of the rules.
No, it's not a question of the regime. That request for Kazakis' extradition came to this bureau from the Athens bureau. And believe me, sir, my colleagues there would no more pass on a political thing than I would.
I find your faith touching.
Interpol's too valuable for any regime to risk abusing it. That's why the bureaus can say no and get away with it, even in Greece. So governments just don't try it on.
All right, I'll believe you. Now listen, you've put through this request to Athens for Petridis to fly to London to give evidence at the hearing.
Of course.
If he will.
As soon as we received it.
Now, I hope, your Athenian colleagues will put the request tactfully. My bet is he'll claim the letters are forgery.
So it may well be, sir.
Well, anything you get in this, contact me at once, will you?
If there is anything, I'll bring it upstairs.
Good. And look, if it is non-political... Oh, well, I'll worry about that when we get to it.
Oh, may I, Good evening, Mr. Ioannidis. Hello.
Melissa, this gentleman is a policeman whose job it is to find out what people like me are up to and tell us to stop it.
No, only some of the time.
I should find more stimulating company if I were you. Not too stimulating, right?
Oh, very nice. Excuse me. Same again for Mr. Ioannidis, and I will have an ouzo. Thank you.
Is it meant to disarm the aliens knowing the names of their drinks?
I'd like ouzo.
Well, Mr. Jordan?
I've come for your help.
My help?
Yeah.
The last time we met, you seized a whole copy of our monthly paper, which hundreds of exiled Greeks sweat and save to keep going.
You provoked that
And the time before in Grosvenor Square? Well, we both remember that, don't we?
Yes. Thank you.
So, I ask myself, what is Detective Chief Inspector Jordan doing here and buying wine for me at 8:30 on a Thursday evening? I fear the non-Greeks bearing gifts, Mr. Jordan.
Well, I'm very sorry to hear that, because if you were to help me, you'd be helping another Greek.
Helping the police with their inquiries.
Oh, come on now, don't be so cynical about it.
All right, what Greek are you trying to help?
Emil Kozakos.
The historian?
Yes, yeah. Yasu.
Cheers.
What else do you know about him?
What does anybody know? A great scholar. Been digging up interesting things outside Corinth.
No, not exactly.
The Stephanopoulos museum team has.
Yeah.
He's been telling them where to dig and building interesting theories on what they found and so on and so on. He's a brilliant man.
You're very well informed.
I read the Athens papers, Mr. Jordan. What have you to do with Emil Kozakos?
He's in Brixton prison.
How did he find himself there?
Well, he flew here to sell a phoenix, from the Corinth dig. And the museum says he took it illegally. And Greece has asked us through Interpol for his extradition.
The museum says?
Yeah, that's right.
Who says in the museum?
Kostas Petridis, its creator.
Petridis?
That's right.
No, I must admit, I don't know what you're getting at, Mr. Jordan.
Kozakos doesn't seem like a thief to me.
Kozakos a thief? Of course he's not. He's one of the most widely respected men in Greece, and unlike some, he deserves it. No. If what you're telling me is the truth...
Don't buy an evening newspaper. You don't think what I'm telling you is the truth.
Then it is some damn fool piece of academic malice.
You mean on Petridis' part?
How would I know? I just read the Athens papers.
Or, of course, it could be a political frame-up. How does Kozakos stand politically?
So that's it. God, you policemen make me sick. Have a drink, Mr. Ioannidis. I just want your help, Mr. Ioannidis. Political information on a well-known Greek liberal. Tell me, is there more to him politically than meets the eyes, Mr. Ioannidis?
Ioannidis. I need to know whether that extradition request is genuine or political, because if it's political, then Interpol has been misused. And so, now listen to me. Now, I'm not officially interested in Greek politics, only British law.
Bravo.
And so I came to you, who I thought would be better informed than even the Athens newspapers.
I think Detective Chief Inspector Jordan had better have another Uzo, Andres. But nothing for me. My stomach has had enough.
Now look, why don't you believe me? Do you want to see the sinister motive behind everything?
Yes. Because in Greek politics, about which you are officially uninterested, that's the way to stay alive, my
come
friend.
on, now, this is England.
Yes, and policemen are policemen, whatever their passports.
Interpol is non-political.
Is it?
Yes, and to keep it that way. I want you to tell me what you know about Kozakos.
Professor Emil Kozakos is a liberal of unquestioned integrity. He has never given the regime the slightest excuse to take any action against him. And personally, I hope they never find
Well,
one.
if you're right, so do I.
I don't trust policemen, Mr. Jordan. No special branch in yourself in particular. I never have. And I see no reason to start now.
I thought I made it clear that any unnecessary hold-up in the Kozakos business would be unwelcome.
There hasn't been a hold-up, has there? Necessary or otherwise.
Sending for this man Petrides for a start. An affidavit from him saying that the so-called letter of authorization was a forgery would surely have been enough for a prima facie case.
Are you frightened of what a good barrister might do with them?
Why should I be?
Well, if the case is as open and shut as you seem to think, having him here in person could only speed the court's decision, not delay it.
Somehow I think that's not what you have in mind, Inman. You've been doing a lot of digging over what should have been a simple matter.
Routine inquiries, that's all.
Or deliberate obstruction.
I see. I would prefer to call it deliberate precaution against a British court being misled, and against our colleagues in Interpol having their organisation misused.
Is that possible?
Baines didn't think so either. But the results of my digging have given him doubts too, and he's a lot angrier than you are, Moxon. Would you like to hear Baines on the subject? Shall I dial him for you?
Don't be so melodramatic, my dear chap.
Inman.
Now, just keep the thing within bounds, that's all.
Just a sec. Petrides is on his way up. Aren't you going to stay and talk to him?
You evoked him. You exorcise him.
I know who I'd like to exorcise. Yes. Ah, Mr. Petrides, good of you to come all this way. Thank you, Constable. Now, sir, I understand that you do speak English.
Oh, quite well, Santo.
Good, good. This is my assistant, Chief Inspector Jordan.
How do you do, Jordan?
And I am Chief Superintendent Inman. Would you like to take a seat, Mr. Petrides?
Oh, the Phoenix.
Yes, that's the cause of all the trouble, the object in question. Now, can you confirm that that is the object, sir?
Oh, certainly it is. Sorry.
Good.
Yes, you can have no idea how grateful I am to you, gentlemen. This is irreplaceable. Well, I hope the formalities will not take long.
Oh, not any longer than is necessary, sir. I wonder, sir, would you also comment on this letter?
Unforgivable. Absolutely unforgivable.
Is that your signature, sir?
It's very clever. Very clever, but it's not mine. He's a forger.
And the letter itself, sir?
I have never seen it before in my life.
Thank you, sir. Well, sir, it seems a pity to have brought you all this way just for that, but there we are. You know, in view of Professor Kozakis' standing and reputation, the whole thing is rather disturbing, don't you think?
No one could be more shocked than I. You know, what on earth could make a man like Emil Kozakos lose his head in such a way? I can only imagine. You know, I thought he and I were friends at last by now, you know. Oh, it's old history. The rivalry for the post I now hold, you know, it must have hurt him more than I suspected. Yeah. Then his wife, well...
What about his wife, sir?
You met her?
I have, sir.
Ah, well...
Very attractive woman.
Exactly, and considerably younger than Emile, and extravagant. Oh! Such women can make an otherwise prudent and sensible man. Well, you know.
Oh, well...
Well, as I say, who knows, who knows? The fact remains that for one reason or another, Emile gave way to temptation. It's tragic. Tragic. You can imagine the distressing choice I was faced with. I mean, this man is a colleague, undoubtedly a brilliant one.
Yes, so I believe so, yeah.
But even brilliant men are replaceable, while things like this may not be, no. No, really, gentlemen, he left me no choice.
No.
Nor the government, because this is a national treasure.
Yes, well, the whole thing's very distressing all round, really, sir.
Ah, well, you say the formalities will not take long? Today, tomorrow, yes?
Oh, not just as quick as all that, sir. The court hearing has been fixed for Monday.
Court hearing? But this is a matter for the Greek court.
Oh, the charge itself, yes, sir. But I'm talking about the extradition request.
Oh, there can be no question. I mean, even Kozakos himself does not dispute the fact that the Phoenix belongs to the museum.
No, sir, but...
And since his so-called letter of authorization is a forgery, well...
You see, nevertheless, sir, there are procedures. Only a court can make an extradition order, and the court must first be satisfied that a prima facie case exists on the grounds stated in the request. Can you understand that?
Such formality.
Yes.
Now, gentlemen, it's not necessary. I'll make a phone call to the ambassador. It's all fixed.
It's a safeguard that we have here, sir.
Yeah, quite right. Now, quite right. Now, he's right to be careful.
Well, we
now,
think
obviously,
so,
I must
yes.
stay till Monday. Yeah.
And now that's the point, sir. Would you let us know where you are staying, just in case we want to get in touch
the
with
ambassador,
you,
he fixed somewhere. You know, get him to phone you.
Good,
I go straight to the
excuse
embassy.
Me, one minute.
You know, to tell you the truth, I'm not
Mr.
feeling easy
Petrides
in
is
my
leaving
mind
now.
till this is in the ambassador's
Oh,
side.
I'm afraid you don't understand, sir. I have to keep that until after the hearing.
Keep it, but why?
Well, I'm responsible for producing it to the court.
Oh, Chief Superintendent, I give you my word it will be perfectly safe with me. Well, if the court orders me to surrender it, of course I will do so, but meanwhile I'd like to, you know, continue my studies, my
I'm
examination.
sorry, sir, but I'm afraid your further studies will have to wait. I have no authority to hand that over to you.
Authority? What authority do you need to hand it over to its owner?
But you aren't the owner, sir. It belongs to the museum.
You promise me it will be kept locked in a safe, yes?
Oh, yes, sir. It'll be put in our main vault until after the hearing, sir. Have no fears.
Yes, well... Oh, well, I'm sure Scotland Yard safe is as good as the ambassador did.
Well, I hope so, sir. Very good. Here we are. Just another bit of formality, Mr. Petrides. Now, if you'd like to go with the constable, he'll show you the way out. Now, sir, you won't forget to tell me where you're staying, will you?
Oh, no.
Mr. Petrides, thank you very much. You've been a great deal of help.
Bye-bye,
Very
gentlemen.
great. Bye.
He got a bit uptight there.
What does that mean?
A bit tense.
Oh, I see. Ah. What the hell do you suppose he wanted with it? Gonna run away and flog it himself, eh?
Well, why not? I'd sooner believe him a villain than Kosakos.
No, if he'd wanted to do that, he could just as well have waited till after the hearing on Monday. No. Well, there was something, though, wasn't there? I mean, when he saw that we were going to hold on to it, he got uptight. I wonder why.
This whole thing puzzles me, Superintendent. Petrides insists the letter is forgery.
Oh, yes, sir, emphatically.
But he gave it to me with his own hands in his own office at the museum.
Did you see him sign it yourself, sir? Thank you. I'm saying, did you see Mr. Petrides actually sign the letter, sir?
Oh, yes, of course.
No, thanks, sir. No, just take your time.
No, I didn't, now I come to think of it. He picked it from a tray there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's right. It was already signed. He just handed it to me. What do you make of this, Superintendent?
Oh, it's not up to me to draw conclusions, sir.
Yes, of course. So the letter is a forgery. But who?
Can you suggest any reason why anyone should want to put you in this position, sir? I mean, Mr. Petrides, for example?
I don't think it would be helpful.
Come on now, sir. You can with me. Personal resentment, professional spite, political motive?
I repeat, it would be helpful to speculate.
All right, sir. And now I wonder if I can ask you a question in your professional capacity. Mr. Petrides was particularly anxious to take personal possession of the Phoenix immediately. Now, sir, apart from its obvious value, have you any idea why? I mean, would there be any clue in the object itself?
It looked as it always did to me.
Well, you would know, sir.
No, only up to a point. You see, people call me an archaeologist, but really I'm a historian, a professor of ancient history. Men like Petrides now, oh, he is good, very good in his field. Now, they do the actual digging. They are the experts on the objects themselves.
But
I am an expert on their significance. I can give you the date of that phoenix. I could lecture you for 2 or 3 hours on what its discovery means, bringing in politics, religion, trade. But Petrides, now, he could hold it in his hands and practically tell you the color of the artist's eyes, or what the weather was like on the day it was cast. I exaggerate a little, but you can see the difference.
Yes.
I am afraid I'm not being very helpful, Superintendent.
I know you are, Professor. As a matter of fact, you've given me an idea. There you are. Thank you very much, Professor. Now, have you got everything you need here?
Yes, thank you very much.
Good, sir. Thank you. Good, sir.
When can I go?
Well, Mr. Jordan thinks it'll be okay to go this afternoon, even though it isn't an official time. Seems the governor found your husband very charming.
Very good. Oh, then we must start now.
Well, he's going to make sure first and then ring us back on this phone.
Have to wait again.
Yep. You know, I hope there'll be a way out for both of you. Really. Your husband's such a nice man.
Yeah.
And he's very attractive. How did you meet him?
Pardon?
Sorry, I'm being terribly inquisitive. I love to hear how people meet.
It's all right. You see, I was at university. To be honest, I wasn't very much interested in history. I went to his class because I wanted to meet him.
And you married him. Well done.
I idolized him, you know, being so interesting and clever. Then all students did.
Well, let's hope soon things are back to normal.
Back to normal?
Isn't that what you want?
Emil is a very busy man. If he's not lecturing, he's digging. And if he's not digging, he's writing.
And you?
I'm there when he stops being a busy man. Σε παρακαλώ, βοηθάμε, δεν ξέρω ιδέα να τις αγγλές καλά. Well, can I go?
Yes. And I found out something else as well.
What is that?
I think things are moving at last. Chief Superintendent Inman's been to see your husband this morning.
Very good.
Nothing is definite, but the superintendent seemed quite hopeful.
When Jane said that superintendent came to see you, I thought perhaps...
I'm very pleased to see you.
You have to be in jail before you need me.
Look here, you know better.
I know, I'm sorry. Oh, all this waiting is getting on my nerves.
Did you know Costas was in London?
I heard.
Has he been in touch with you?
No, he wouldn't dare.
Well, perhaps you should get in touch with him.
I have nothing to say to him.
We were such good friends. There must be a reason. What about the money?
What money?
From the sale of the Phoenix.
Oh, you're thinking of your work again.
No. The part of it which Costas and I are going to use for the cause.
Oh, so it's the cause's time. Why don't you care about yourself for a change?
Petridis and I worked for years for the museum, for the cause. Why would he do this to me? You know, I sit in my little room all day thinking about it.
And?
Nothing. Look here, we must talk about our future.
Do we have one?
I don't want you to come back to Greece. It's getting more dangerous. You'll be better here. You'll be safer.
There are enough people here. Don't you want me to be with you?
Of course I do. But do you think they will let me see you? No, I think it's better you stay here.
Well, I always done the way you want it. I'll agree. But I don't like it.
Why are we talking like this? There is still a chance that the whole thing will be sorted out.
You've got a big faith in your friend, Mr. Inman, but why he should care is not his affair.
He's a good man, look here. He's my only hope.
Now, what can I do for you, dear boy?
Advice, Mr. Prouty.
Oh, gladly. You know, I sometimes wish assistants were still as simple to supply as these. Egyptians went to the grave with whole retinues of them to minister to their wants.
You could run me off a dozen detective sergeants and a couple of secretaries.
Unfortunately, only effective once you're dead.
Oh.
And I imagine your staff needs a more pressing.
Yes.
Well?
Well, sir, I wonder if you wouldn't mind having a look at this.
Oh, it's lovely. Lovely.
Corinth Phoenix.
Yes, I am aware of that, dear boy. Incidentally, I read in The Guardian that you'd locked up Emil Kazakos. Such absolute nonsense.
You think so, do you?
Of course it is. Oh, this business is abounding with crooks, and I should know. But he's never one of them. Never.
Well, don't blame us, will you? Because we only do as we're told, you know.
Without too much loss of sleep, I expect.
Yes, without too much. Mind you, between you and me, he doesn't strike me as a villain either.
No, of course he's not. Well, delighted as I am to see you, dear boy, I'm still wondering what advice I'm supposed to be able to give you.
Well,
it would seem to be a political problem, not an archaeological one.
Yes, and I just wonder if you might be able to tell me a little bit more about this thing.
Oh, that?
Yeah.
Well, it's 8th century BC work and local to Corinth, which is 2 or 3 centuries earlier than one would expect, because the Phoenix is not otherwise known in Greek literature or art till about the 5th.
I mean, I don't want to cramp your style at all, but I know all that. If you remember rightly, I came the other day and you told my boss all about that.
Then what do you want to know, for heaven's sake?
What is odd about this particular bird?
But that's exactly what I was...
Well, what is its exact value?
What's value? 40,000? 50,000? Maybe even more. It would depend entirely on who was after it.
Yes.
The thing itself.
How do you mean the thing itself?
The original, of course.
Isn't this the original?
That, dear boy, that's just a copy, a modern bronze cast. I give you a £5, maybe 10.
A copy. Bronze cast of the original, worth £10 at the most. Very funny, really.
Hilarious.
Petridis must have been very confident. He didn't even think it was worth risking the real thing. Of course, the extradition request falls down.
It could be argued that the intention...
No. The extradition treaties state quite clearly an extradited man may only be tried for the offence for which he was extradited. This request describes the Phoenix and its approximate date. The description, which I've rechecked, couldn't possibly fit. A modern copy.
So, Kazakos cannot be found guilty of the offence named.
The hearing will be purely formal.
Oh dear, oh dear. The Greeks will have to lose face at a delicate stage of our relations.
Well, I mean, that's hardly your fault, is it?
Kostas Petridis. Where is the wretched man, by the way?
I saw to it that he knew that we knew. And he caught the next plane home.
I see.
Well, you couldn't blame him. He could hardly pretend in court that he didn't know the thing was a copy. Not a very likable man, really. Look, a common scotter.
My dear fellow, they're everywhere.
Well, there goes a good lunch. Why didn't you accept? She's practically adopted you.
She's practically exhausted me. Oh, I got quite fond of her, but I'm glad they're off our hands at last.
Taxi!
They are off our hands, aren't they, sir?
Yes, after that hearing, the extradition is out. Nothing left for the department now, just the bosses whining and dining.
Mr. Inman looked tickled pink.
Yes. Tax! I think, really, that he thinks of it as a sort of a personal victory.
I only hope...
What?
Oh, I don't know, sir.
Come on.
Well, I only hope that she appreciates him.
Oh, Sarge. Taxi!
It's just
I got him,
sir.
Not only must justice be done, it must be seen to be done. An admirable principle.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way, sir, because on the face of it, that hearing was a waste of everybody's time.
It was not a waste of time. It was usefully spent in demonstrating that it was a waste of time.
Oh, well, that's a bit too subtle for me, sir.
Oh, you should be married to him.
I am extremely grateful for all you've done, Mr. Inman. And Mr. Jordan and Miss Simpson.
Oh, yes, especially Jane.
I'm glad we were able to, sir. In fact, we have been able to do a bit more.
Oh, I can't imagine what more is necessary.
Permission to stay in Britain? Of course, you may wish to move on elsewhere in due course, but you obviously need a base, and my deputy commander has been assured by the Home Office that there will be no problems.
That was very good of you, Superintendent. And for the time being, at least, I will be very glad for my wife to take advantage of that. But for myself, no. Thank you, but no.
Look, sir, off the record, strictly off the record, all this extradition nonsense was a political plot. You are an active opponent of the regime, but too famous and respected to be locked up without an excuse. And too clever to provide an excuse.
Oh, you compliment me unduly.
An excuse to discredit you had to be invented.
So?
So you can't go back to Greece. It would be daft. Petridis has forced it all into the open.
Petridis has made a public fool of himself. His trap has failed, so they will smooth the whole thing over and forget it.
Do you really think it would be as simple as that, Professor? You'd be running a terrible risk. They can hardly back down now. What do you think, Mrs. Kazakos?
I think I know my husband. All you say is true. All your guesses are right. Emil, there's no harm in telling Mr. Inman. He already knows. You see, Petridis is supposed to be one of us. You understand? But he betrayed Emil. So you're right. He's crazy to go back, but you couldn't stop him. I couldn't stop him either.
But why not?
Let us say that I'm crazy, then. It's less embarrassing than using such words as duty.
Not to me. But is it your duty to run the risk of a Greek jail when you could be making your voice heard over here? And a very powerful voice it is, too. Your young friend Ioannidis has made that obvious.
It's a sad thing, you know, Mr. Inman, and doubtless unjust. But the exiled voice soon loses some of its effectiveness. The ears of those who are in danger grow deaf to the voice of one who is safe, even if they loved him once, even if they still love him. So, you see, you must leave it to me to decide where my duty lies. But not even those who love me would expect me to put my wife at risk as well.
So will you stay on alone, Mrs. Kazakos?
What's the point of us both being in jail? If Emil wants me to stay, I'll stay. But not here. You're very nice, of course, but I have no one in London. In New York, I have my cousins. I'll go to them till we see what happens.
Now, Mr. Inman, better see that one. This one better be cleaned up a bit. And this one is for filing. Now, that's all wrapped up, I think.
Famous last words.
Oh, come on, Constable. Not another one of your famous hunches, eh? Like the supposed emotional problems of the Kazakuses.
It's not a hunch, sir. Just something I don't get, that's all.
Don't you start playing feminine with me, Constable, or I'll have you back on juvenile work. Now, tell me, what don't you understand?
Why the hell Petrides went to all that fuss over a copy of the Phoenix?
Well, scared of risking the original on his little trap, I suppose, in case it came unstuck.
Yes, but if Kazakos had been carrying the original...
Yes.
It would have been perfectly safe because Petrides knew we were arresting him. Therefore, his trap wouldn't have come unstuck. It would have worked. Sir. And anyway, if he's going to Athens and she's going to New York, who says their emotional problems are only supposed?
Police flight 106. Passengers on this flight should go immediately through departure. Position on Police flight 106 to Police.
Well, anyway, sir, I hope you have a good flight.
Oh, thank you, Superintendent. At least I shall not be so worried this time about the supposed value of what I'm carrying.
What are you going to do with it, sir? Keep it as a souvenir?
Well, that rather depends on what happens to me, doesn't it? It's evidence.
Yes, of course. And another point in your favour. Interpol and Athens are very annoyed at the way they've been misused. It's not much, sir, but it might strengthen your hand a bit.
Yes, that's good. Will Constable Simpson be seeing my wife off to New York?
She has been asked to, sir, in about half an hour.
That's good of her. No one likes emotional farewells. It was better for us to say goodbye at the hotel.
Yes, of course, sir.
You still think I'm crazy to go back? After all your efforts, I'm sorry if I have disappointed you.
Sir, my only mistake was to underestimate you.
Goodbye.
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 Bye, Professor.
No, I'm afraid he's not here, Baines. Mr. Inman's at London Airport seeing the Kazakuses off. Anything I can do?
Oh, I thought he might like to know, that's all. We have some information from the Athens Bureau.
Oh, yeah?
It's slightly unofficial in a way.
I'm unofficial ears.
Well, as you know, they took umbrage over the whole thing. So they pulled a few strings with friends in the regular Athens police.
Yeah.
To keep tabs on this man Petrides.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems he's quietly packing his bags.
The hell he is. Wherefore? Do they know?
Yes, the indications are New York.
New York? Give him our thanks unofficially. Bob, get me Mr. Inman, London Airport, quickly.
Dernier appel pour les passagers du vol TC 741. Destination Francfort, Athènes, Bahreïn, Delhi, Kuala Lumpur, Singapour, Perth et Sydney. Les passagers sont priés de se rendre immédiatement à la porte numéro 11.
Announcing the departure of flight BC 509 to New York. Passengers on this flight, please proceed to gate number 14.
Do not understand it. What is all this about? He won't say a word. I'm going to miss the plane. That's going to happen. And
Mrs. Kazakos?
Yes.
One moment, sir. Is that your luggage?
Yes.
I want you to open it.
What?
All of it. Give me the keys. Come along.
Passengers to Nice, this is the final call for British European Airways Flight 106. Passengers on this
Thank you. Constable?
British European Airways Flight 106 to Nice.
Get on with it. Just one moment, sir, if you don't mind.
The big one, Jane.
Perhaps, and Mrs. Pansesio, meeting Mr. Wilson. Please call the general
Yes?
information desk. Mrs. Krantz and Mrs. Pansesio.
This the original Mrs. Kazakos?
Wilson, to call the general information.
$150,000 worth of original. For an American millionaire whose name I'm not gonna tell you.
I see.
What will I get for this?
You'll be extradited and tried in Greece.
She was doing it for all of us.
Did you ever thought that I would risk anything for your silly cause?
What silly?
I'm sick of it. If your time isn't taken up with a as it is with an impossible future, liberating Greece, what for? For fools like you to live in peace and poverty.
For a better life.
Your idea of better life, not mine.
You think money can give you that?
I've waited long enough for you to give it to me. I want it now while I'm young.
And Mr. Petridis?
He does not live with his head in the clouds. He understood what I wanted. You will love to go to jail, won't you? You will enjoy to be a martyr.
Mrs. Kazakos, you do not have to say anything, but anything you do say will be taken down in writing and maybe...
I know.
And now I want you to come with me to a police station.